If there's a Mount Rushmore of Survivor strategists, Cirie Fields' face is carved into its smiling calm and quietly plotting your downfall. The woman who famously went from couch potato to master manipulator didn't just play the game, she rewrote how it could be played. And years later, fans still can't stop talking about one move in particular, the jaw-dropping blindside that turned a sure thing into a historic face-plant. Now, Cirie is opening up about how she actually pulled it off, and the truth is even more impressive than what we saw on TV. The blindside that changed everything. When fans think of Cirie's most iconic moment, one scene instantly comes to mind: Survivor, Micronesia, fans versus favorites, Final 5. Eric Reichenbach, immune, confident, and moments away from the Final 4, hands his individual immunity necklace to Natalie Bolton, and is immediately voted out. It's widely considered one of the dumbest moves in Survivor history, but Cirie will be the first to tell you it wasn't dumb luck. It was a perfectly executed psychological operation. This wasn't about tricking Eric, Cirie has explained. It was about letting him trick himself. And that distinction is everything. Reading the room. And the person's greatest strength has never been physical dominance or flashy advantages, it's her ability to read people. Long before Eric ever touched that necklace, Cirie had clocked his personality. Eric was young, earnest, and deeply uncomfortable with the idea of being seen as the villain. After blindsiding Ozzy earlier in the game, Eric was racked with guilt, and Cirie saw an opening. He wanted redemption, she said. Not in the game, but in his own mind. Rather than pushing aggressively, Cirie leaned into subtlety. She let Eric talk. She listened, and she gently nudged the narrative that the women herself, Parvati, Shallow, Amanda Kimmel, and Natalie felt betrayed, hurt, and wary of him. The key: never making it sound like a demand, planting the seed, not forcing the tree. One of Cirie's biggest revelations is that the idea to give up immunity didn't come from a single mastermind moment. It was collective reinforcement, delivered with surgical precision. Each woman played a role. Natalie leaned into vulnerability, framing herself as an easy target. Amanda emphasized trust and loyalty. Parvati weaponized confidence and social pressure. And Cirie, she anchored the whole thing with emotional logic. I kept bringing it back to how he wanted to be seen, Cirie explained. Not what would get him further, but what would make him a good guy. That's the genius of it. The argument wasn't strategic, it was moral. By the time Tribal Council arrived, Eric wasn't thinking like a Survivor player. He was thinking like a person who wanted forgiveness. The moment it all clicked at Tribal, Jeff Probst famously asked questions that seemed to circle Eric's dilemma: trust, loyalty, redemption. The camera cut to Cirie, nodding along, saying very little but saying everything with her eyes. When Eric stood up and removed the necklace, Cirie later admitted she still wasn't 100% sure it would happen. You never know until it's done, she said. But once he stood up, I knew. The vote that followed was swift, unanimous, and brutal. Eric was blindsided in the purest sense, taken out not by force, but by his own desire to do the right thing. Why this move still matters: what makes this blindside endure isn't just the shock, it's what it represents. Before Micronesia, immunity necklaces were sacred, untouchable, the ultimate safety net. Cirie and the Black Widow Brigade shattered that assumption forever. After Eric's exit, Survivor players stopped trusting absolutes. Immunity was no longer invincible. Social manipulation became just as powerful as idols or advantages. And Cirie, she became the gold standard. This move proved you don't have to win challenges to win the game, she said. You just have to understand people. Cirie's biggest misconception, despite her reputation as a ruthless strategist, Cirie insists that her gameplay has always been rooted in empathy, not cruelty. I care about people, she said. That's why it works. She doesn't see manipulation as lying for sport. She sees it as understanding motivations and letting players make choices that feel right to them, even if those choices are disastrous. That philosophy explains why Cirie has pulled off legendary moves across multiple seasons without ever winning the game, and still remains one of the most respected players to ever compete. Legacy of a legend. Years later, fans still debate whether Eric's move was the worst mistake in Survivor history, but the more interesting question might be this: was it a mistake or a masterpiece? Because if Cirie Fields taught us anything, it's that the best blindsides don't feel like traps. They feel like decisions.